Then on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 Sun Bowl matchup between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Oregon State Beavers. Two teams that have had great seasons getting to this point. You got Notre Dame, 9-3 overall, ranked 16th in the country. This has been a really impressive team this season, getting up to 9 wins, but obviously the expectations were so high for this team in the preseason. You could even say it was maybe a bit of a letdown for this team, but they've still got a solid matchup in the Sun Bowl. They're taking on Oregon State, one of the top teams in the Pac-12 this season. Oregon State has emerged the past couple of years as a really impressive team, so to get up to 8 wins this season and a chance to take on Notre Dame, great matchup for both teams here. We'll be going for a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with their team trends. Notre Dame beat Stanford 56-23 to finish out the regular season, 9-3 on the year for Notre Dame. A pretty highly ranked 3-loss team here, and it makes sense why. They ended up playing a pretty difficult schedule this season. They took 3 losses, all 3 of them fairly close. The Ohio State one, lost to them by 3, lost to Clemson by 8. And the Louisville loss was definitely the worst one of the season, even though it turns out Louisville was a really impressive team this year. But, I mean, if you look at the silver lining, this was a team that definitely had some dominant wins as well. But as for Oregon State, lost to Oregon 7-31. Just a tough loss there for the Beavers. But overall, this team was really competitive. Definitely one of the top teams in the Pac-12. I would argue this was the 4th best team in the conference, behind Washington, obviously, then Oregon and Arizona. So the Beavers, a great season for this team. Another really successful season, 2 in a row now for Oregon State. Games be on Friday, the 29th in El Paso. Your kickoff is 2 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Notre Dame by 6 years, so the Irish are a halfway decent favorite here, and this is a matchup that you got a lot of players in it that you wouldn't expect. You got Sam Hartman on Notre Dame, DJ Uyunglele on Oregon State as the lead quarterbacks. Problem is, both quarterbacks are in different situations now. Sam Hartman heading to the NFL, Uyunglele is in the transfer portal. So instead, we're seeing 2 quarterbacks we really haven't seen much of in this matchup. We got Steve Angeli with Notre Dame, and then Ben Goldbranson. We've seen him a little bit with Oregon State, but not much. So we'll get to see him again for the Beavers, taking on Angeli for Notre Dame. But over under 41.5, FPI is going Notre Dame as well, 66%. You look at the bowl history, Notre Dame 20-21 overall, and this is a team that's been to bowl games every year since 2016. So a lot of sustained success. They were in the Gator Bowl last year where they beat South Carolina. They were in the Fiesta Bowl the year before that and the Rose Bowl the year before that. So this team has been pretty impressive in recent history. But as for Oregon State, 10-7 overall. 3rd straight bowl game for Oregon State. They were in the Las Vegas Bowl last season where they beat up Florida 30-3. And back in 2021, they were in the LA Bowl against Utah State. But before that, there was an 8-year gap where this team didn't get to a bowl game. The last one before 2021 was way back in 2013. So Oregon State has been on the rise the past few years. Your stat comparison, Irish are 10th in points per game, 11th in points allowed. A really balanced team here, Notre Dame. Really, both teams have some pretty good balance. I would say Oregon State is a stronger team when it comes to offense than their defense, but for Notre Dame, it's pretty similar on both sides, although I will say the offenses won't be quite as good in this matchup as we maybe saw in the regular season, just because both star quarterbacks, or both, I would say, standout quarterbacks are gone and won't be playing in this matchup. So the defenses might prevail a bit more, that's for sure. But you also got 2 pretty strong rushing games with Notre Dame and Oregon State in this matchup. So that's worth considering, although for Oregon State, although for both teams, actually, they're without their lead running backs as well. Estime is gone for Notre Dame, and Martinez won't be playing, it sounds like, for Oregon State. So that's also something to keep in mind. This is really a matchup that's going to have a lot of young talent, and all of the key standouts, especially on offense, just simply won't be playing. But your recent matchups, Irish beat Stanford 56-23, beat Wake Forest 45-7, lost to Clemson by 8, dominant win over Pitt. So some dominant wins for Notre Dame, especially down the stretch. They beat USC 48-20 as well. But just the Clemson game kind of stands out. Lost that one to them, but otherwise really strong team later on in this season. But as for Oregon State, lost to the Ducks 7-31. Almost beat Washington, couldn't quite get it done. Lost to them by 2. Beat Stanford 62-17. Beat Colorado 26-19. Did lose to Arizona 24-27. But before that, I mean, this team had a 10-2 start. They were or sorry, an 8-2 start. And I mean, you look at the 2 losses before the last 2. I mean, the 3-point loss to Arizona, the 3-point loss to Washington State. This was a team that was the most impressive 2-loss team in the country heading into those last 2 games. And obviously things kind of fell apart a bit in that Oregon matchup. But overall, both teams have definitely been impressive over the course of the season. Key points: Notre Dame 9-3 overall. Sam Hartman gone. Steve Angeli starting for Notre Dame. I haven't heard this name before. Just now researching this matchup. So we'll see what he can do. Even though obviously the quarterback situation, it's going to Riley Leonard next season, coming in from Duke. So it's going to be fun to see him as a member of Notre Dame. But Sam Hartman's obviously gone for this matchup. He's headed to the NFL. Irish are talented, but missing best players. That really goes for both teams here. Both teams have a lot of players either headed to the NFL or in the transfer portal. And so this isn't the matchup that it could have been. I mean, at the surface, you see 2 teams that really can make for a great matchup, but it's just not going to be the same without a lot of these key players. But I will say, though, for both teams, whoever wins this matchup has got a pretty bright future, I would say, coming up here in 2024. Notre Dame is favored, but Oregon State on the other side, maybe a bit more uncertainty, though, with them, obviously with the Pac-12 dissolving and being gone at this point. And so for Oregon State, they've already got a pretty uncertain future, but this would be a step in the right direction for the Beavers. But I mean, another thing to keep in mind is the losses for Oregon State. 3 of their 4 losses came within a field goal, so a lot of close losses for Oregon State this season. This really was never a team that got blown out a lot. I mean, they lost to Oregon 31-7, but otherwise a really impressive team here with Oregon State. But with that, let's get the prediction here for Notre Dame and Oregon State coming up here in the Sun Bowl. And in the end, I do want to go with the Beavers to pull the upset here, 20-17. This one, I mean, I kind of want to pick Notre Dame, but I feel like Oregon State is just going to have a lot more to play for in this one. Obviously, with them being out of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 dissolving and everything that's happened with that. And Oregon State is heading into a new era. I mean, for Notre Dame, they've obviously got a pretty steady, I mean, this is a team with a lot of success, a very successful history, and the future is very bright with Riley Leonard going in. Oregon State doesn't have that certainty that the future is going to be bright. And so, I mean, for them, this is going to be a game where they have a lot more motivation, I think. And I think they find a way to win this matchup as well, 20-17. I also like the matchup. I think that both offenses aren't going to be at their highest level without their lead rushers. I mean, I think Notre Dame's also without their lead receivers. So that's obviously going to be a challenge, and obviously both quarterbacks gone. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this matchup. It's going to be more defensive. And so I do think it goes under, and Oregon State finds a way to pull what would be a halfway decent upset in this one. So I think Oregon State finds a way. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next.